I have personally been a mindset coach to hundreds of 6 and 7-figure traders over the last decade. So today I'm breaking down the fundamental skills necessary to make your trading mindset so strong that success becomes inevitable. And this first one, some of you are going to hate. Years ago, I knew a guy who, after a date, would be glued to his phone. He would be jumping up and down with excitement when a girl texted him and crestfallen if she didn't instantly reply to his messages. This led to a lot of pain along the way, as well as not the best success, because this guy was clearly putting out far too much of a needy vibe. I see this with my trading clients all the time. Their whole self-esteem is tied up in the results of a trade. If they're up for the day, they feel great. If they're down for the day, they feel awful, just like the guy with the bipolar dating mindset. So what happened to him? Well, a few months later, I saw him, and he had a completely different demeanor. He was far calmer, more relaxed. He didn't seem as stressed about dating. I asked him what had changed, and he said that he'd read about something called the Rule of 14, which is basically 1 out of 14 people have the potential to have a really strong connection with you. It could be someone you have a romantic relationship with, a best friend, a business partner, etc. And so now, rather than trying to impress every girl he met, he decided to relax, be himself, and eventually the Rule of 14 would work out. 2 months later, he met the love of his life, and they're now married and they have 2 kids. So the first big psychological upgrade for trading is that every trade isn't life and death. Instead, just focus on the maths. X percentage will win, X percentage will lose, and your job is to execute a winning strategy, and in the end, you will be successful. This only gets really powerful when you combine it with the next lesson. Did you ever see the film Good Will Hunting? It's about a young, troubled genius played by Matt Damon. He enters into therapy because of his difficult past. And in the climax of the film, his therapist, played by Robin Williams, says one line that finally gets through to the struggling young man. It's not your fault. You see, the reason that Will was so angry wasn't at his father for abusing him. It was at himself because at some level, he felt he deserved that treatment. I had a client who was exactly the same. He blamed himself for every losing trade he took. So I asked him if he thought that mathematically he should have took the trades given what he knew at the time. And he grudgingly admitted that yes, he should have. So just like Robin Williams, I told him it wasn't his fault. If a trade loses money, it's not your fault, it's the fault of the strategy. You see, if you blame yourself for everything when it goes wrong, you're going to keep getting frustrated, beating yourself up, and that's not the mindset that leads to earning big money. So instead, you simply admit your trading strategy isn't perfect and it never will be. What you can focus on is perfect execution. The lesson is, don't take it personally. If you can blame your imperfect strategy instead of yourself, you'll find that beating yourself up goes away. But this next topic is something that 80% of traders need to work on, and once they do, their results explode. Have you ever been on a treadmill in the gym? Well, if you go too fast, you're going to have to stop after a couple of minutes because you can't keep up. Go too slowly and walk, and it's going to get boring because you're not pushing yourself and you switch off. The right level is one where you fully engage with the workout. It's where it's hard, but ultimately it's achievable. Trading is the same. Too intense and you burn out. Too slow and you get tired, become bored and understimulated. So how do you manage your energy? In Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's seminal book on peak performance flow, he says, flow is a state of complete absorption in a challenging task where you lose track of time, self-consciousness drops away, and your performance peaks. The core idea is that flow, which is a state of optimal performance, happens in a narrow band when the challenge and skill are roughly matched. Too easy and you're bored, too hard and you're anxious. Hit the sweet spot and you're in flow. So how do you stay challenged in quiet markets? A lot of my clients have side projects, something they can do while they're waiting for something to happen. It might be researching a new edge, backtesting, reading up on current events. Some of them are creating tools to help them trade, or hiring a developer to make the tools for them. Some have a theme for the week to work on, one aspect to their trading. Maybe it's entries or exits or sizing or lowering overtrading. All of this can be used as a tool to artificially make your day more challenging when things are quiet. When things are chaotic, you do the opposite. You focus more on the biggest opportunities, and you have the discipline to ignore the small ones if you know there'll be too much of a distraction. A hard lesson to learn on the road to 7 figures is sometimes in trading, you need to be able to say no to a 10K opportunity in order to give yourself the opportunity to perform on a 100K one. The key to high performance is staying engaged in the market, neither too high energy, which will burn you out, or too little, which will lead to boredom and making mistakes. And if you've ever struggled with motivation, this next tip could be a game changer. I once met a guy who was a very talented musician, but he decided not to go full time even though it was his dream. When I asked why, he told me that he'd moved to New York to try and make it as a jazz musician, and he gave himself 1 year to make it. If he wasn't making decent money by then, he would quit. So a year went by, he quit, he moved on, and he went to university to do something totally unrelated. I always thought this was kind of sad. Someone who loved something so much, but success didn't come on his time frame, so he quit and he did something else. The truth is that most successful traders lose for 2 years, and they're the ones who are well trained and have lots of help. Guys who are more self-taught should expect the learning curve to last longer. So when I heard so many guys say that they quit their jobs and have 6 months of savings and are going to go pro trading, I always shake my head. If these guys are not already profitable, they're trying to force trading to fit around their lifestyle and schedule. And the truth is, you just don't know how long it will take. The way I would think about this is different. What is the true range of how long it takes to become profitable, based on where I am? And then I assume it takes twice as long, because I'm less talented than most other guys. But I can hear you say, wait, Dan, aren't you a mindset coach? Isn't tell yourself you're worse than others terrible? What about believing in yourself? Well, just look at it this way. If I crush it and do it in 1 year, I'll be elated. But if it does take me 3 or 4 years, I've artificially lowered my expectations, so now I'm not beating myself up. Another perspective is this. If you keep improving, only one of two things will happen. Either you keep going and you make it, or you quit. Are you in control of your ability of getting better? Can you read more books, watch more videos, work on your mindset, do more backtesting, talk to other traders, meditate, visualize entries and exits? The ways to improve are endless, so becoming better at trading and eventually being successful is in your control. The time frame isn't. But you'll never fully achieve your potential if you don't internalize this next point. Have you ever heard the quote, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard? I once had a client who bragged he'd never burnt out, and he expected me to impress. This guy also had the most insane morning routine I'd ever seen. He would meditate, write in a journal, go for a walk in nature, buy some food and cook a full meal from scratch. This took him 3 to 4 hours a day. The number of hours he worked didn't prevent him from being successful. They did, however, mean it would take him far longer. He thought all those things were contributing to his ability to make good decisions, and in some small way, they probably were. That was a wrong question, though. The right question to ask was, is what I'm doing now the most effective use of my time possible, or are there other things I can do with my time that would be more effective? I heard the swimmer Michael Phelps had just 2 things on his schedule: eat breakfast and get in the pool. He knew the one thing he had to do was train. If he did that, he'd be successful. If he didn't, no amount of healthy eating, meditation, and walks in nature would make up for that. They're nice to haves, not must haves. So with this client, I asked him, what were the top 5 things that were contributing most positively to his trading? And then what would happen if he doubled the amount of time spent doing just those things? He said he felt he would probably double his results. 6 months later, his results didn't double. They quadrupled, and he ended the year up over 400K, his biggest year by far. If you're interested in getting some one-on-one mindset coaching with me, I've made a video explaining about how I help traders scale to multi-6 and 7-figure years consistently. So click the first link in the description. Otherwise, if you want to learn more about how to schedule your time like a 7-figure trader, click this video next. Either way, I'll see you soon.